special meeting of August 16th for the City of Aiken City Council. I'd like to first read our guidelines for the minutes. Guidelines: meetings are a public forum in which many opinions are expressed and the business of the city must be conducted as such. Discipline, honorable, and professional decorum is paramount. Courteous and respectful communication is expected. During public hearing, all questions and statements from the public shall be directed to the chair. And if you wish to speak, raise your hand and I will recognize you. Please approach the podium and state your name and address. In order to allow an opportunity for everyone who wishes to address council, speakers should limit their comments to the subjects being discussed, and each speaker will be given 5 minutes to address an issue. They may only address an issue once unless questions from council are posed to the speaker. Thank you for that. And moving down the agenda to old business, our one thing for consideration tonight is a second reading and public hearing of an ordinance amending the FY 2016-17 budget to repair roads in Jim Lakes Extension. Is there a motion?
I so move, Mr. Mayor.
A motion? Mr. Mayor. We have a second. Comments from staff?
Mr. Mayor, I'll only spend a moment since we have spent so much time in the past on this issue. As you will recall, Council approved the ordinance before you on first reading at the August 8th, 2016 meeting. So for Council consideration, a second reading and public hearing of an ordinance to amend the fiscal year 2016-2017 budget to repair roads in Gem Lakes Extension. As you know, we have Mr. Grinton here from Engineering and Utilities to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you, sir. Comments from the audience? Mr. Feller? Appreciate you being here with us tonight.
Well, these, I'm sure, are superfluous comments at this point because this thing is way down the path to completion. Ron Feller, 3 Brookdale Court West, Aiken, South Carolina. I've tried unsuccessfully to address this issue positively in the past, and I've written 2 separate letters to council. And so what I'm going to say tonight is not based on fact, it's based on what I think. Well, there's a couple of things I know to be true. I'll start with that, but I'll start with a story. An old Army buddy and his wife were visiting my wife and I some years ago, and we were sitting out in my kitchen and we were discussing building materials. And the subject of plywood versus OSB board came up. And somewhere in the discussion, Joe got kind of heated. He says, "You can't tell me that OSB board is better than plywood." I said, "Joe, I'm not trying to tell you it is. I'm telling you for the use we're talking about, it's good enough." So that's what I'm talking about tonight. I'm going to talk about an option that could possibly be good enough, but I don't have enough facts to make a firm recommendation. So let me start out with there's 2 ways in road work that you can determine that the road is good enough. One is you do a test and inspection as it's built, and based on the results of those, you accumulate objective evidence that tells you that yes, this roadway will probably serve you well in the future. That didn't happen. We don't really seem to know what happened in that arena on this case. We won't get into that. But there is another way. The question is, how well has it served you over time? And this is where I don't have near enough evidence, but I'm under the impression that the subbase and the base in that roadway probably is good enough to hold a surface that's in there right now. Now, I can't substantiate that with actual facts, but I can observe, and the amount of questions I've asked, I find that road, it hasn't potholed. Pavement has broken, and water's gotten in through the pavement, and that seems to be the source of the problems. I say seems to be. Now there's also something else that I know, that one way that there's also evidence of some groundwater, and there's something called a geotextile fabric that can be used if there's groundwater going through an area where you don't have to have French drains. There's a way to use a geotextile fabric to ameliorate that problem, if that problem still exists, and I don't know if it still does. So here's what I think, that the people who build roads, they know how to build roads. I've built roads, and the people that know how to do it, they usually do build roads the right way. I suspect that the people that built those roads built a proper base and subbase. I can't prove that, but I suspect it to be true. I think your problem came in putting down the asphalt surface. There's some evidence that it was raining hard, and there's some evidence that this contractor may have had a bad mix. I don't know what it would have been, but I kind of suspect you got a bad surfacing job on that road, and that led to your problem. Now, I think a case can be made, but I can't make it tonight, that that road base that you have in there will serve you. The one you're gonna grind it up with this process you're gonna have. I suspect you're grinding up a perfectly good base when you do it. And the full depth penetration that you're going to put in, everybody says it's going to be better than any road you have, and it may be. But the question I ask, have you thought about maintenance? You know you're going to have to cut through that thing, and it's a cementatious base now. The rest of your roads have just a soil-based material, so you've got a different process you're going to have when you work on those roads. And if you think about this drainable pavement you put downtown, and you didn't think about cleaning them with a vacuum, you better look at this thing completely to know what your maintenance requirements are going to be if you use this process. And I understand that you're going to end up this process with a tar and chip surface. I don't know if you all know what that is or not, but that's basically, it's a tar and it's loose stones, and I suspect that your homeowners are not going to like it. Now, my reading of the specification says that's how you end up, is with a tar and chip application. So now I think there's evidence out there that could support keeping the base material you have in place and coming up with some way to give a good asphalt surface treatment, and you'd be done with it, and I would think far less expensive. If I'm willing to meet with anybody and talk with anybody more about this, but all my efforts so far have come up with zero. And but it's my suspicion that there's a better solution out there that'll serve the community better than the one you're about to embark on.
Thank you, Mr. Feller. And I would just say, I'd asked this question, I'll look to George for this, but it's actually a smooth asphalt surface going down, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Right. It was actually.
Our standard.
It is, and I will say I asked that question earlier because of our conversation. So I appreciate that. Right. That was a concern too. So thank you for asking that. All right. Any comments from council? Question.
I just wanted to thank you, Mr. Feldman, for coming forward. We've been working with this issue now for more than 7 years. So it's been a long experience for the community, the citizens in the community, and for those who've served on council as well. And we thank you for your input. It's not that you haven't been ignored, that you've been ignored. It's just that we've had a lot of comments coming to us and a lot of studies being done, and it's been quite a long discussion over the many, many years.
All right, all those in favor of old business number 1, raise your hand. And that passes unanimously.
I've got one more. I just got a nomination for one of the committees.
Okay, we can move forward with that. I don't think we have to do that at a meeting actually, so you can probably pass that forward to Sarah.
What Mr. Homoki had asked, Mr. Mayor, was if it would be appropriate for him tonight to suggest someone to be nominated to a committee to be voted on at the next city council meeting. The council's preference is to have them announced at a council meeting before the council meeting where they're actually voted on. And so he's wanting to try to get that person voted on for the next council meeting.
I'm certainly fine with that. So.
I'd like to nominate John Carmen. I gave the details to the city clerk for the Energy and Environmental Committee. And while I'm at it, I just want to say Bob Newbern just recently resigned, and he was really a stalwart. He was one of the strong workers on the Earth Day project along with Ron Delamore, and made a basic mistake. He said he'll come back on an ad hoc basis if they need it, and I'm sure he's probably going to get more phone calls than he begged for. So, but I just want to thank him for he was very instrumental in making that committee effective and productive.
I'll second that. I'll second that for certain.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a comment. I had the pleasure of visiting Odell Weeks a couple times this weekend, as you did, and Park Rec and Tourism did a great job, along with the local pickleballers, for a very large pickleball tournament. I was disappointed not to see more coverage in the paper, even a list of winners. I was hoping to see a list of winners in today's sports page, and but it was a great tournament. And I tell you, you had 190 very happy people out there. They said, I think, Rick, the furthest person came from South Dakota.
Wow.
All the way to play pickleball in the city of Aiken. So it was a great job. I hope we can do a finance breakout to see how we did on it. But everything went very well, and I saw a lot of happy faces, including those of our staff working on the weekend. So thanks to everybody involved.
And since we're talking about that, I'm going to have Councilman Duar. Would you mind stepping up this way for a second? He recently participated in the Blue Night 5K along with our city manager, but Councilman Duar represented the city very well and actually won his age group.
Nobody else was in it.
And I have your first place.
All right.
So congratulations, sir.
I've been running for 40 years and I've never come in first.
He did. Steve wanted to know if you actually
Finish.
I did finish. Oh, okay. Absolutely. You don't get the award if you don't.
Patience really does pay off, doesn't it? Is there a motion to adjourn?
I so move.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please stand up. Thank you. And thank you for being with us tonight.